Hey there, Soccer everybody. Welcome back for another amazing episode of the Marhaba Crypto Show. We bring you guys amazing quality every single week. Now, for this week, I have myself and Moby, but we will also be having Mufti Billal coming in and talking about various topics. But before we get into the show, Moby, how's Australia? What's going on? How's the weather down there?
Yeah, very good, man. The weather's really, really good. That's actually, I was talking to the Mufti Sahib earlier, actually, in our pre-production call. Our summers started a little bit later than usual, but I learned something about him, actually, which we can talk to him about when he jumps on. I think he is terrified of spiders. Like, absolutely terrified of spiders. I think he doesn't want to come to Australia for that very same reason, because obviously we have better weather than the UK does. But I'll give him a chance to defend himself when he jumps on. But other than that, really good, Ahmed. I think it's a great show. Every time we do this at the start of the week, because obviously we do this weekly, I think, man, nothing's happening in crypto. Like Wednesday, Thursday will come by and nothing's happening. Then all of a sudden, it's just like an avalanche of stuff. So I can't wait to share with the audience and the community what we have.
So, as you guys know, first we're going to have our brother Moby come in and talk about what's going on in the crypto world, what's going on in DeFi. I mean, last week he gave us some great insights, and those insights has helped a few people already start making good money. So, thank you, Moby, about that. Right after Moby, we're going to have our Mufti Sahib come in, Mufti Billal come in and talk about, is your farming halal? This is a huge question, and a lot of you guys have been asking about it. So let's get that answer for you. And how can you tell if it's halal or not? After that, I will jump in with the Marhaba updates and maybe a few pointers about different token types and different coin types. Without any further ado, Moby, the floor is yours. What's up? What's going on in the crypto this week?
Yeah, awesome, man. So, crypto scared a little bit people this week. I think the fear and greed index is down to fear again, a score of 39. I don't have it on my screen, but last time I checked it was like 39. We went from greed to fear within the space of a couple of days. So we experienced I almost forgot. We did talk about something that we're going to do from now on. Because we have the Mufti Sahib and because I like to talk a lot, I'm going to actually have a timer, right? So I'm going to have a timer. I'm going to keep this market update to 10 minutes flat. I'm going to try to keep it clean, sharp, and so we can get onto the Mufti Sahib quite quickly, and the timer's on. So anyway, here we go. So of course we experienced a huge 11% drop on Monday. But people have short memories in crypto. The Monday before, we had a 10% pump. Now, the question on everyone's mind, which I think, to be honest, is probably the least important question, but I'm going to talk about it quickly anyway, is what caused the drop, right? So if I go back onto my screen here, if I start sharing my screen with you guys, some people said China FUD, some people said infrastructure bill, leverage. Look, the truth of the matter is we don't really know, but let me tell you what it's not, right? So it isn't liquidations or funding rates. Now, liquidations, leverage trading is very bad. We've spoken about this on previous episodes. SubhanAllah, Islam's done in a way where it protects, consumers, because the problem with leverage trading is pumps are higher and the drops are lower. But from what you can see from my screen here, this is a total liquidations from all the way from August 2021. And we can see liquidations actually are quite low right now, right? The liquidations are actually quite low. So I'm looking at things like funding rates and liquidation rates. And what that's telling us that like even a $250 million liquidation in a day in Bitcoin is actually nothing. We traded $90 billion. It's very normal. We traded $90 billion or traded rather of futures contracts on the same day, right? And we go back all the way to September, we had a lot more. So we don't think it's that. So what is it? Really, I think the market got overexcited. We've spoken about buy the rumor, sell the news, right? We had the fact that the spot ETF, Bitcoin spot ETF, was supposed to be coming. It didn't happen. We had the fact that inflation hit 6.2%. It was announced. We discussed this last week. People thought that Bitcoin was going to skyrocket more than that. So what actually happens is people get nervous. They don't want to get liquidated. They want to lock in profits. And then you have a little bit of panic selling. So essentially FUD, right? That's sort of my theory, but I'm never going to pretend to know something I don't really know about. But that's sort of my theory. Now, what I do want to, talk about is where to from here. This is the more important question. Where to from here? Where are we in this cycle? Are we still in the bull market or not? Well, in the past, we've spoken about, and if you look up, resources like Glassnode and that type of thing, they will look at things like the amount of long-term Bitcoin holders, right, or hodlers. So what are the long-term guys doing? Are they selling or are they not selling? I want to introduce you to this new thing. This is sort of on my screen right now. It's called the CBBI index. It's a Bitcoin index, and it does look at things like, it actually has 11 metrics, and they look at what stage of the bull run or bear market we're in. Now, indicators are always based on historical performance. It does not promise future results, but just so you guys know, right? Like that's sort of what they kind of look at. Anyway, long story short, on my chart here, you can see the last peak, there was a CBBI confidence level of 100, and then the peak before that, it was 102. Essentially, it's a score out of 100 where we might be based on long-term hodlers and whatnot. The long and short of it is we're currently sitting at 62. So based on what long-term hodlers are doing, based on what the market is doing, it does not seem to be like we are anywhere near the top at all. Now, if I kind of go back to my chart here on TradingView, you guys may recognize this from previous episodes where we talk about these zones. So unfortunately, we did fall out of the 58K to 60K zone right now. But what you can see, and we've said this before, prices will test levels. So before this dip, we tested this level once, twice, 3, 4, 5 times. We tested the level, and then we sort of broke out and we broke down to the lower side. But having said that, and this is not just things I'm saying, Michael Van de Pope from Cointelegraph believes that a drop to 54K is possible. Another analyst from Cointelegraph mentioned 52. If we look at our chart here, even if we go down to 44, which is another level, we are still in the bullish territory. So nothing really to worry about here, but not financial advice. Take profits and set your stop losses and look for red days to buy, right? Do the opposite of what the market is doing. The final thing I sort of want to talk about on the Bitcoin side of things is I'm sharing a tweet here from the CVO Crypto where it actually has the 2017 cycle and the 2021 cycle now side by side. And November 9th, at the same time in the cycle, you can see literally we had a dip as well. We literally had what looks like maybe a 15-20% correction at the exact same time. Like, it's uncanny how similar this timed drop in November is. So just sort of keep that in mind. Now, moving on, I noticed my timer has actually stopped when I move from one screen to another screen. But Ahmed, you'll have to give me a time check if I go too over. But moving on, let's talk about Ethereum, right? Let's talk about the coin I call that's the queen. Now, according to Sentiment, they're a very well-respected research firm. Ethereum is seeing its top 10 largest non-exchange addresses continue to grow, whilst the top largest exchanges addresses shrink. So essentially, hodlers, holders are increasing their holdings. The amount of money, the amount of ETH on exchanges is falling. Don't just take my word for it. If I show you this chart here, this is from Sentiment as well, and it's showing the price and the total supply of ETH. So all the way down here, today's date, you're looking at about 15 to 16%. So that means there is only 15 to 16% of all the ETH that is available on exchanges right now. That's one fact. Another fact is because of EIP 1559, ETH is deflationary. It's actually, we're burning more than we're creating right now. So in terms of ETH and the ecosystem, very, very bullish, not financial advice. One thing I will say about Ethereum, actually, let me kind of move on to some more Ethereum news, is NFL and Ticketmaster launched ticket stub NFTs on Polygon. All right, what does that all mean? Well, Polygon is a layer 2 solution for Ethereum. Layer 2 solutions, of course, are designed to circumvent high fees and gas issues on Ethereum and speed, right? But for the rest of the season, essentially, if you want to buy a NFL ticket, you can buy it via NFT, right? So that itself, and we spoke about this when NFTs were first coming out. It's not about cutesy photos and JPEGs. There's real world application. So NFL is playing with that and having these commemorative NFTs that you get after you sort of buy a ticket. Now that is live on the Polygon network, of course, which means more people are using Ethereum as well. Bullish on all fronts. Now, one thing I will sort of mention, they do say this is not to be confused with their affiliation NFL's affiliation with Dapper Labs, because Dapper Labs is another blockchain. Flow is the blockchain designed by Dapper Labs, and at the end of the year, they're going to have a marketplace on NFTs. One thing I will say on flow, because I used to be in flow, I bought at the top, I sold because I found better yield elsewhere. Look at price levels. And Dapper Labs, I will sort of say it is a really good blockchain, but they have been very slow in their launch date. So I'd be curious and conscious about that. UFC was supposed to launch earlier this year on Flow, and I haven't seen anything happen there. So not financial advice, do your research. Flow is a good blockchain, but look at, good price levels and fundamentals. Like, they're a little bit too slow for my liking. Anyway, moving on. Let me move to, one thing I will say on Ethereum, by the way, is, experts do say that $4,300 level. If you feel like you missed the Ethereum boat, it might not be a bad level to look at. There seems to be a lot of support and resistance there. Anyway, moving on to Binance, right? Which is also bullish for Ethereum as well. So Binance now supports deposits to Ethereum Layer 2 solution Arbitrum. So in line with that theme about Layer 2 solutions, Ethereum's not going away anywhere. It sucks. It's slow. I tried to mint something on it. It was the most painful thing I've ever done. It's not as fun as Solana, but there's a lot of money locked in, and there's a lot of Layer 2 solutions. And big exchanges like Binance now allowing you to actually transfer your Ethereum from your Binance wallet straight into Arbitrum. What does that mean? Well, now you don't have to have those high gas fees when you're transferring Ethereum, those long wait times. You can transfer straight from Binance, the world's largest exchange, into Arbitrum. Arbitrum's one's Layer 2 solution, right? So bullish stuff. Again, bullish for Layer 2, bullish for Ethereum as well. Moving on, getting through this. And you notice my pace, Ahmed. I'm trying to get through this. I don't want to keep people waiting. I don't want to keep the Mufti sub waiting, but I want to give people value. I want to move on to AVAX. Now, this is not BS. You guys can go back to last week's episode. I'm not going to repeat myself. If you want my fundamental analysis and the research that I did on DeFi Llama and the amount of total value locked, I'm not going to repeat myself. You guys are going to have to watch last week. But one thing I will sort of say, and we called this last week, right? If you look at, I'm sharing CoinGecko right now, AVAX, which actually, to be honest, everyone says AVAX, but I was watching some of their videos. I think it's AVAX. That's how they say it. Yeah. But I'm not going to say AVAX, because that's just going to...
Hey, you're Australian. It's okay.
I can say it. I can get away with it, right? But apparently it's AVAX. But when you look at this, the last 7 days, it is the only coin, or sorry, I should say it's the best performing coin in terms of performance over the last 7 days. 23%, 23.9% for Avalanche or AVAX or AVAX. Everything else, right, down. Bitcoin down 10%. Ethereum down 9%. It is the best performing coin or layer 1 blockchain. Actually, coin period in the top 15 to 20. Again, bullish stuff. We see a lot of support for AVAX. Now I'm saying it the proper way. At $100, so $109. We noticed even when it kind of dipped, it dipped a little bit below 100, but it went back to 100, and now it's at 109, 110. So bullish stuff. I'm a big fan of AVAX right now. Do your own, research. I want to talk a little bit about. Actually, I'll leave Cardano to the end because I feel like I've dropped little hints and little jabs at Cardano's, and you and I never had really good chance to talk about it. So I'll leave that to the right at the end. But what I do want to talk about is just the Metaverse a little bit. I think we should do a whole topic about this next time. People have been asking about the Metaverse. To be honest, I'm more of a DeFi guy. That's where my time and research goes. But in terms of Sandbox, in terms of Decentraland, the questions we get all the time, look, they're very good right now. They're very good, projects in the Metaverse space, rallied on the back of Facebook's news. But of course, they are trading at quite high premiums. Having said that, currently the Sandbox is trading at, according to this tweet by Sentiment, at $4.32 as of time of that tweet. And anyway, long story short, that what they're sort of saying, it's actually not a bad buying opportunity. When we sort of have this level that Sentiment's talking about, it tends to rally from here. So is there room to grow for Sandbox, and is there room to grow for Mana, aka Decentraland? Yes, but maybe the big money, the easy money has already been made. Not financial advice. Anyway, when I first started complaining about Cardano, and you notice, Ahmed, I didn't just complain about Cardano. I was very objective, and all I said, and this was like maybe a month ago I started talking about this, is, and Cardano was number 3. Alright, it was ranked number 3. Now it's sort of ranked, number 6, 8? Let me go back to CoinMarketCap. What are we up there? We're at 6th now, 6th position. We are sitting at a Oh, I've just kind of lost my screen there. But yeah, 6th position right now. Now, as you and I know, it's not like crypto is a bit of a popularity contest. So I'm not saying that is the be all and end all. But I will sort of say that when you look at, the stats I looked at last week on DeFi Llama, and you look at total value locked, because whether we like to believe it or not, you got to follow the money. Cardano doesn't rank there. There is no total value locked in Cardano. Yet we've had smart contracts, and they took some time. They did come out when he said, but they did take some time compared to the rest of the market. They only came out recently, and exchanges like Sunday Swap and whatnot, they're still taking their time to actually look. So you can do smart contracts, but as I understand, there is no total value locked in DeFi right now on Cardano. The other thing I want to sort of talk about, and then I want to kick it to your valuable thoughts on Cardano, is Cardano recently, and I'm sharing a tweet here, they won DeFi Project of the Year by a summit called the AIBC Summit. Not to be rude, but I find that pretty funny. I find that pretty funny. Cardano, I've just told you, no total value locked, right? Sunday Swap, they've had these issues, because they do things a little bit differently, and they've won DeFi Project of the Year. So it didn't go to Sushi Swap, it didn't go to Pancake Swap, it didn't go to... Look, honestly, at this point, Marhaba DeFi is an amazing project. I know you're going to give us some good updates on Marhaba DeFi. Arguably, Marhaba DeFi has done more in the DeFi world, and it hasn't launched yet, than Cardano. Now maybe I'm being a little bit mean. But the point is, like, now maybe being mean. But how do they win this stuff? And now, honestly, guys, this is a little bit of a lesson, because when I look at this, right, so I look at, it's called ADAFinance, right? So ADAFinance, sorry, I'll be more specific. ADAFinance has won DeFi Project of the Year. But when you, I guess, look into them, they have, 7,700 followers on Twitter. I know it's not a popularity contest, but, bear with me. In Telegram, they have, less than 8,000 followers on Telegram. So the network effect isn't huge, right? Oh, sorry, on Telegram, they only have 5,000 followers. But then when you actually go onto this AIBC Summit, this group that gave away the award, and then you scroll down, and I'm doing this on my screen now, you scroll down to the other awards, right? You'll actually see the awards are powered by ADAFinance. So, Ahmed, ADAFinance wins the DeFi Project of the Year by this group, right? And this group had a lot of people there. It actually had a lot of big players there. It had a lot of, a lot of good production value. You guys can look it up. Apparently, Akon was there. I don't know what that says about this group. But you look at some of these awards, and it actually says, here you go, the Emerging Tech Award, powered by ADAFinance. So, they sponsored other awards, and they also won an award. So I guess, guys, this is two things. One, I think it's sketch. Maybe it's got nothing to do with Cardano. But two, just be careful. Like, just because something has an award or an audit or something, DeFi is the world of crypto, it can be a really sketchy place. So these things don't mean a lot. But I've got some more comments on this. I want to kick it to you, Ahmed. You take it where you want to take it. But I think I'd love to get thoughts on Cardano first.
And I know you push Cardano on me because a decent amount of my holding is in Cardano. That being said, obviously there's a lot of things that were promised. When you look at Cardano from a technical perspective, and you look at it from the white paper and what was promised from the team, things look like they were strong and well. But I agree with you, they're not fulfilling on their promise, and that's an issue. So Ethereum didn't either, to be really honest with you.
True,
right?
True. Good point.
It's uncertain, right? So this is where we have to understand, are we going to wait it out with Cardano, or do you want to take advantage of other better opportunities? So I think I told you last week, Moby, that I'm shifting a lot more towards Solana from ADA. I already put in take profits and all this stuff, and I'm shifting over more of my allocation towards that side, because I see that's where successful projects are. NFTs, other developments. So I'm going to have to agree with you. Some good work from your side has been done, and you found some good stuff, and I do agree with you, but that's a little sketch.
I think powered by ADAFinance. Again, that doesn't have anything to do with child Hodgkinson, and I know Cardano fans will be like, hey, but that's just a project, right? DeFi or crypto is crypto. Anyone can launch a project on anything almost, right? I know that, but maybe I was being a little bit mean there. But the biggest thing for me, Ahmed, is like, like we talk about this in uni, right? You have like when you go to university, you have academics, but academics tend not to be business people. Cardano, like they admit that they follow a peer-reviewed approach, kind of like academics do. But academics aren't the same. Yeah, we listen to them for academic stuff, but not for business. I would never trust.
Not for practice.
Yeah, I would never trust my business with an academic. That's a different horses for courses type of thing. The other thing too in business is like speed is everything. Being first is everything. And reputation is everything. That's why Marhaba DeFi has done so well. That's why Marhaba DeFi has gotten so many investors and big names. And you know about this a lot more than I do, Ahmed. Maybe you can share some of this. Is because of the reputation. You know what I mean? And that's only going to start when the project starts even more so. So that means something to people. So as someone who owns their own business as well, myself, reputation is everything. And if I'm working with a vendor or a partner or whatever, and they always delaying, they always have problems. Doesn't matter how much I love them and how much I love Africa and the philanthropic efforts that they're doing. At the end of the day, I still need to run a business. I'm going to go elsewhere. Yeah. So again, I'm not hating on Cardano. Like you said, Ahmed, is there money better spent elsewhere? Yes, I do think so. And you're seeing that in the market cap right now. So my prediction is Yeah.
Sorry, I cut you off there. My apologies. But the whole thing is, like what I said before, it's like buses coming and going. But some buses are a little too slow and some buses are faster. So do you switch buses? Yes. To get to your destination faster? Yes. You have to do what you have to do to get to your destination in the right way, in the halal way, in the best way possible. And if that means that you gotta shift your investments in a certain project and shift it in another project, yeah, you do your process, you move. So you jump on a faster car than you were before. You go from if someone's from Toronto, I was gonna say you go from a TTC bus to the subway, so you can go faster. But yeah, so yeah, I think Moby, there's a lot to be discussed on this point. Because of time, I'm gonna have to kind of squeeze over to Mufti Sab, if that's okay with you.
Let's do it. Let me just call him in. Fantastic. So Mufti Sab, if you can just unmute yourself, please. There we go.
Assalamu alaikum.
Alaikum salam.
So fantastic. We have Mufti Billal here with us, guys. We're going to be talking about a very important topic. So if you were concentrating in other places while me and Moby were talking, this section is something that you cannot lose your concentration.
What we might do is just to kind of intro in, this was actually, so guys, I just want to sort of say, guys, thank you so much. We've been begging you guys to comment, like, subscribe. We're hitting, over 2,000 followers last week. Got a lot of engagement and a special shout out. I'm going to share my screen again, to Mostafa Hegazy. And really this question, just to provide that context, was sort of asked by, Mostafa. And he sort of asked, yield farming. I honestly do not understand how it works. There are different types of yield farming. Are they haram? Are there types that are permissible? What should I look for? So thank you, Mustafa, for your question. And I guess Mufti Sab, onto your thoughts. What's your sort of opinion on the matter?
I mean, first of all, Jazakumullah khair for the question from Brother Mustafa. I think yield farming is kind of complex, so I do understand his position. But the first thing we need to understand before we can attempt to answer the question itself is that what does yield farming mean? So yield farming in a way involves yield farmers, okay? The farmers are the actual investors, okay? So like any other investors, farmers means an investor. Now, investors, they're after what exactly? They're after return. So they want to invest their capital, they want to invest their money, and they are expecting to get something in return. So this is the return, it means yield, basically. So yield farming is actually investors seeking a return on their investment. So they are looking for what we call yield opportunities, and these yield opportunities is what we call farms, okay? So hence, yield farmers, the investor who is going to go out there and he's going to go and visit the farms to try to get a return on his investment. Now, each yield farmers, according to their strategy and to the return the potential return that he sees available out there, he is always going to go from one farm to the other, meaning he's going to go from one investment to the other all the time in order to maximize his return. So yield farming is about maximizing the return of your investment. Now, how does it actually work? Well, yield farming itself, you look at it, is just a term. It's just a term, meaning going out there to get a return. But the mechanism behind it can be various. There's different ways of doing yield farming. And each one of them are kind of different from one another. So when somebody is asking, is yield farming halal or haram? The reality is that we cannot answer the question by a simple yes or no, because each yield farming strategy is different. So we are going to have to look at each strategy first of all, assess it, and then make a decision on that particular strategy or that particular investment. So for example, let's look at some of the common yield farming examples that we have out there. The most common one that we have is yield farming that involves lending. So what does that actually mean? It means that you're going to have investors with liquidity, and they're going to go onto a particular platform, and they're going to lend their tokens or their crypto assets. When they're going to lend their crypto assets, they're going to get it back at some point, right? But when they're going to get it back, they're going to get a profit with it. So that profit can take different forms. So it can be like they're going to get fees, for example. So they're going to get whatever fees that has occurred through that lending transaction, they're going to share in that. Or, the platform on which they are providing the liquidity for the lending might be rewarding them with a native token, etc., etc. Either way, the fact that they are lending their coins to somebody is going to benefit them. And this, in essence, is called interest from an Islamic perspective, i.e. this is what we call riba. Riba in Islam is when you are lending something to somebody and you are benefiting from it, i.e. you're lending like £1,000, for example, and in return, when that person returns you that £1,000, you're going to get benefit out of it. Now, the benefit might be in different forms. It might not necessarily be that the person is going to return you £200 extra. No, it doesn't have to be. It can be that you're going to be lending £1,000 to a person, and then he's going to say, okay, lend me £1,000, and I will return it to you, but on top of that, I'm going to give you access to, to my office every week or something like that. That is a benefit that you have you have received, right? And that in itself is riba, is haram. So yield farming, when it comes to lending, is the same process. Anytime you are lending your crypto to somebody and in return you are getting a benefit out of it, then it is completely haram. So this is one type of yield farming that we have out there, and we should not approach any of this. So if there is a protocol, there is a project that says, come and bring your liquidity here to lend it to others, and in exchange we're going to reward you, let's stay away from it. Then there is a second type of yield farming where this happens on exchanges. Okay? What happens is you come with your crypto and you're going to invest it, or you're going to tie it up to smart contracts. Okay? Now these smart contracts, they might have various, terms and conditions or whatever. But what exactly happened here is that your tokens are not going to be lent to somebody. In fact, they're going to be invested. How? They're going to be used by being exchanged with other tokens. Okay? To put it in a very simple form is that, let's say you come with your Bitcoin, for example, I'm just saying it as an example. It doesn't mean that this is actually happening. But let's say you have Bitcoins and you bring it onto a platform, and with that Bitcoin, what happened is the smart contract is going to execute a transaction, i.e. is going to use that Bitcoin to buy another token like USDT, for example, and is going to do that transaction. Okay? Now, what happened, there is no lending involved. It's just you buying tokens through a smart contract, i.e. through a platform. So the platform takes care of that. The platform is acting on your behalf. You don't need to do anything. Now, because you have used that platform, because you've come to them and you actually, you were happy to do that transaction at the platform, you will be rewarded for that. They will say, okay, thank you very much. You kind of trust us. It's like, you're doing a transaction and you're using PayPal, for example. Yeah, now you doing just a transaction with PayPal, and PayPal say, thank you very much for using our services. Here you go, we're going to reward you. How are we going to reward you? Maybe we're going to give you a voucher, or maybe we're going to give you a discount on the fees, for example. Or maybe, we're going to pay you something, 2% of whatever. This is absolutely fine. This sort type of yield farming is absolutely fine in its structure. However, there are a few things that we need to take into consideration. When we are doing yield farming by investing our tokens to buy other tokens, we need to ensure that at all time our tokens are used to trade Sharia compliant tokens. They are traded for that purpose. So it cannot be used to buy tokens that is tied up to the gambling industry, for example. Yeah, so this is what we have to ensure. And this is just like in normal day-to-day life, right? You cannot use your own fiat money to buy something haram. So it's the same process. You cannot use your crypto to buy haram crypto. So you have to make sure of that. Secondly, you also have to ensure that any profit that you're going to make by using this service is not guaranteed. It is not guaranteed. Meaning, for example, I want to do a transaction on a platform with the hope that through that transaction, I'm going to be benefiting, like I'm going to make a profit of 2% or 3%, for example. Now, what if something happened? What if for XY reason, there's a crash in the market or whatever, and there is a loss. There is an actual loss. Now, you need to take that loss. You need to take that loss. You cannot say to the platform that, no, but you promised me that I'm going to be receiving 2% profit or 3% profit. Therefore, I just want my profit. You cannot have that condition with them. That is not permissible. So you shouldn't be using a platform that guarantees any return. Guaranteed return is not permissible in Sharia. So that's the second point. A third point is that you also need to ensure that. So I mentioned about you need to do the transaction with Sharia compliant token, and you should also what do you call it? You should also ensure that the profit is not guaranteed. And also the third point is that you need to ensure that the profit that they're promising to you, it is not a fixed amount. So for example, they cannot say to you, okay, Billal, you bring us 1,000 USDT, for example, for to do transaction on our platform, and we will give you 50 Bitcoin in return. They cannot do that. They can only say that we will give you 2% profit or 3% profit, meaning if there is any profit, then you'll make up to 2% of that profit or 3% of that profit. But they shouldn't fix an amount. They shouldn't fix an amount of token that we're going to give you 5,000 tokens or 1,000 token or 2,000 token. So no matter, how much profit that transaction is going to generate, and they say, doesn't matter, we're still going to give you 10,000 tokens of our own native token in exchange. They cannot do that. That is not Sharia compliant. What they can fix is the percentage. That any profit that is going to happen we will give you 2% or 3% or 4%. So these are the 3 points that you need to take into consideration, that when you are doing yield farming by transacting, by trading, your tokens. Like, for example, on Uniswap, for example, right? So, on Uniswap, what's happening really is that you're going to be putting, your tokens into pairs, etc. And what happens is they use your tokens to trade with other tokens. So you're going to have to ensure that they are only trading your tokens to buy and sell Sharia compliant tokens. B, obviously, the profit is not guaranteed. And so if there is a loss, you have to take that loss as well. You have to share into that loss. And third point is that any profit that they're promising should be fixed in percentage and not in the actual amount of tokens. And the type of yield farming is probably derivatives. Now, derivatives, or they call it synthetic asset or synthetic crypto.
Oh yeah, synthetic assets. Yeah.
Synthetic asset. It is quite a complex one, but what I can say is that this sort of yield farming is not Sharia compliant at all. So what really happens there on this platform is that you're going to come, for example, let's say what happens, okay, in synthetic asset it's an asset that is really non-existent. So you're going to be buying, for example, a synthetic USDT token. Now that synthetic USDT is not an actual USDT token. It is just a token, but the value is tracking the USDT token value. But it doesn't replace. So you cannot go out there in the market with a synthetic USDT and say, hello, I have a USDT token here. No, that is not a USDT token. That is just a token that is trying to mimic the value of the actual USDT token. So this is what we call synthetic tokens. They try to mimic real life tokens in their value. Now, if you want a specific synthetic token, the platform will say, okay, you need to bring X amount of this token. Usually it is the native token of the platform itself. So they will say, okay, you need to bring us this fixed amount of tokens, and we will give you whatever synthetic token that you are after. So when you come, so the tokens that you're going to bring is used as a collateral, for example. Now, when you are bringing these tokens to the platform in order for them to give you the synthetic token, as a reward, again, yield farming, trying to maximize the return by putting your capital at risk, what they say is, by you bringing on your token, we will reward you. We will give you, X amount percentage of the fees that we're collecting, etc., etc. So this is why it is also called a form of yield farming, because again, you're doing an investment, right? You're putting your own capital into the platform in order to receive a return on it. But all synthetic, as far as I know, all the synthetic investment, they are non-Sharia compliant, because in real life, derivatives are non-Sharia compliant because you never own the actual asset. Like I said to you, the token is trying to mimic an asset, but it is not the actual asset itself. So this is not Sharia compliant either. Then you also have the options ones. So options, what happened is that the option ones, they're kind of complex, but I will leave that for now. But there is another one as well, which is quite famous, is the insurance. So insurance yield farming, how it works is that in real life, how does insurance take place? Well, you're going to go to an insurer and you're going to be paying a premium. And if there is anything that happen, any damages that happen to your car, they will pay for that damage. Okay. Now, in real life, there is a proper insurance company that takes place of that. In DeFi, there is no insurance company. It is the actual people that underwrite the insurance contract. So I am going to come with my own token. I'm going to go onto a platform. Again, I am the yield farmer here. I'm trying to put my money into work so that I can get a return. So I'm going to come with my token and I'm going to say, okay, here is 10,000 of XYZ token. and if I am willing to insure somebody, and if anything happened to that somebody, to their investment or whatever, I will pay for it. I am the guarantor, basically. In exchange, though, this person has to pay a premium. So just like you need to pay a premium for your car insurance, in the DeFi world is the same thing. If you want a DeFi insurance, that person who is seeking an insurance, they will have to pay a premium. So the premium that I'm going to be earning is the actual profit that I'm making by putting my capital at risk. So this is another form of yield farming as well. Again, this is not Sharia compliant, because insurance, even in real life conventional insurance contract, they are not Sharia compliant for various reasons. Meaning there's a lot of uncertainty in it. Like a high level of uncertainty is not considered as Sharia compliant in Islam. It is forbidden by the Prophet ﷺ. And here is the same thing. There's a high level of uncertainty. Like, how do you know that nothing is going to happen to that investor? You don't know that. It's just you gambling, basically. You're saying, okay, I'm going to insure that guy, but you don't know whether it's going to happen or not. And secondly, is that the person who is coming to get an insurance, he might be seeking an insurance agreement for something that is not Sharia compliant. Maybe for an investment that is not Sharia compliant in the first place. And you're saying, oh, don't worry about it, I'm going to be acting as a guarantor for that. That is problematic either. So any sort of yield farming that is tied up to insurance contract, they are not Sharia compliant. So pretty much it's fair to say that most, at least there's going to be probably other ways of doing yield farming, but these main ones, they're non-Sharia compliant. The only way you can do yield farming is, again, if you are trading your tokens. So like in liquidity pool, you put your tokens in there and they use them to trade, etc. But again, these are tied up with three conditions. A, you need to ensure that you are always trading Sharia compliant tokens. B, the profit must not be guaranteed. So if there is a loss, you need to share into the loss with the platform. And C, the profit must be agreed on in the form of percentages and not in the forms of a fixed amount of tokens. I hope I have made that clear.
No, I think that's really, really insightful. I do have, just to clarify something, Mufti Billal. So I understand, if I gather correctly, when you're supplying a DEX, right? So you're supplying a DEX and you're supplying a liquidity pool. So you put up 2 tokens, right? And of course, those tokens have to be halal. So you put in a token and then you put in another token, you're supplying 2 sides. That's okay. And even if the percentage, they might say, okay, you're going to get X amount of percentage from the trading fees because you're providing that service. That's okay.
Yeah.
Can you clarify, is the issue, because there's always these gray areas, like a lot of these, liquidity pools, they have these incentives, right? So for example, there's one called Trader Joe on AVAX, which I spoke about in terms of, the fact that AVAX is being used really well. I wasn't necessarily condoning it, but there's one called Trader Joe. And again, I'm not asking you to give your opinion on Trader Joe, but there's a lot of them, what they do is you get the percentage of the trading fees, but then they also give you a reward token. And for example, they might say you'll get 0.4 X token for every $1,000 that you put up. What are your thoughts on that? Like, do you know what I mean? So you're getting the trading fees, but then in addition, they amplify that and they say you'll get 0.04 ABC token for every $1,000. In your opinion, is that also considered a form of riba?
Not really. I mean, again, if the tokens you're providing is not used for lending, okay? So there is something I haven't mentioned earlier as well, is that sometimes in yield farming, there's something called staking, okay? So we're not going to be talking about staking now, but sometimes staking, yield farming can take the form of staking as well, but that staking means that the crypto that you are putting into place is being used for lending as well. It's still being used for lending. So what you need to assess is whatever capital I am providing, whatever liquidity, that's why they call it a liquidity provider, whatever liquidity you're providing to the platform, is it for an investment, i.e. is it for the platform to use it to trade it on your behalf, meaning they're going to use it to buy and sell tokens, or is it that you're lending it to them? So this is the first thing we need to assess. Now, if it's lending, like you're lending it to them and then they'll return it to you, they guarantee, okay, you're giving us 1,000 token, we will return you that 1,000 token plus whatever profit, that is always going to be non-Sharia compliant, irrespective of whether you're using Sharia compliant tokens or not. Irrespective of that. Because the structure of the transaction itself is problematic. Now, if your tokens is Sharia compliant and you're giving it to them for trading, meaning they're trading on your behalf, they are acting as an agent on your behalf, then again, as I mentioned, you need to make sure that, it's Sharia compliant tokens that's being traded all the time, etc., etc. Now, then in that case, the question that you have asked that for every 1,000 token, we will give you 0.94, tokens. Is that permissible? Yes, it will be permissible. Now, even though that they have mentioned the reward in terms of amount of token, but it's still a percentage, right?
Still a percentage.
Because it's 0.94 of 1,000. So that's what is it? 0.09% or something?
0.04 might be 4%, whatever it is. Yeah.
It's still a percentage. Do you get it? So for every 1,000, we'll give you X amount. So that's still a percentage. That is absolutely fine. But it will only work if your liquidity is being used for trading on your behalf and nothing else.
And that even applies if they're giving you an additional token C. So you supply token A and B, but then they say we're going to give you a percentage of token A and B, but we're also going to give you an additional reward of token C. That's still okay if it's a percentage and all those criteria check out.
Again, obviously, the token C must be Sharia compliant as well.
Of course, yeah.
Yeah, so token C must be Sharia compliant, but yes. Mm-hmm. So your token A and B must be Sharia compliant. They must be trading it for whatever Sharia compliant tokens that there are out there. And the reward they will give you in the form of token C, that's fine, as long as it is also Sharia compliant in itself.
Wow.
Yeah, so Mufti, just to clarify, this is more like an equity sharing type of thing, because you're kind of giving up your tokens as a form of, and you're accepting the risk of them trading and trading out, and because of that, it's an equity sharing. You make money on both of A and B, but then they also, as traders, want to reward you by giving you C, but you're trading, you're holding as a risk holder also with them.
Yeah, I mean, we can look at it from the fiqh perspective. We can look at it from a Mudarabah perspective, which is a form of partnership.
Mudarabah,
anyway.
yeah.
But Mudarabah is basically you're providing liquidity to an agent, and that agent is acting on your behalf. So usually what happens is you're giving your liquidity to the platform through smart contract. So it's a smart contract that's acting on your behalf. You're not doing anything, right? So they're the agent. So you're going to be sharing into the profit between you as a liquidity provider and them as an agent. Now, them giving you the reward is an incentive. It's just an incentive, okay? Because you're using the platform, and that is absolutely fine. I mean, the IOF standard clearly says that, if, for example, you have a credit card, a share compliant credit card, for example, and the credit card company wants to give you an incentive, or you put your money in an Islamic bank and they want to give you an incentive and a reward, then it's absolutely fine. They can give you a reward for using the service. I'm clearly saying Islamic bank here because the reward that you usually get from a conventional bank is not Sharia compliant. Is riba. Is what I called earlier. But I'm not going to go into that now because we're going to be going off topic. But so the reward itself, it is Sharia compliant. It's not always riba, basically. That's what I want to say. So reward, getting a reward is not always riba. It can be absolutely fine. But again, it will depend on the entire structure of what's happening between you and the platform. Yeah?
Fantastic.
That's awesome.
Guys, this is a jam. What
awesome.
You guys just heard is like a jam. So notes. If you didn't take any, you're missing out. And fantastic questions. Jazakallah khairan, Mufti Sahab. Really appreciate it. And I mean, there's going to be people coming up with new questions. So if you do have more questions, put them down in the comments, and we'll try to cover everything slow and steadily. There's a lot of different topics. There's a lot of different things being discussed here. So, but listen to this answer a few times, and then try to understand fully what's being said. Because I'm someone who has a lot of crypto experience, and I still there's some parts where I had to kind of rethink everything and then kind of get it. So I'm saying if you're not getting a certain point, just listen to it 2-3 times and then make your questions and all that stuff. Amazing. Moby, any comments
And
before I
also,
jump on to the next thing?
I will
Sorry,
also add, Ahmed, is that yes, Ahmed, I will also add that because earlier I was talking to Mubin and I told him somebody called me today to inquire about this investment. Now, there's one thing I asked him. I said, "Do you actually understand what happens in that investment?" He said, "I don't know." He doesn't know how it works. He has no idea. He said, "I don't know anything about crypto, and I don't know anything about the project. All I know is I put my money there and I'm going to get a return." Now, this is absolutely wrong. This is wrong. This is wrong.
Yes.
You need to, and this is absolutely why that there are many scholars that are still issuing fatwas that crypto is non-Sharia compliant, because they're saying these guys are gambling. This is gambling, right? You just, because you heard, oh, I can put money there, I'm going to put my money there, apparently I'm going to get a return. Now, even if the entire transaction is halal or whatever, but you yourself, you're gambling because you don't even know what you're doing. You're just putting money there and that's it. You need to understand the structure. It is very important. It's not enough. I do not feel that it is enough to just ask, is it halal or is it not halal? You need to understand what's happening. At the end of the day, that's your money, right? That's your money. You need to know what's going on. It's not just good enough to say, I'm going to put my money there and that's it. Salam alaikum. I don't want to know about anything else. You need to understand what's happening.
I love that. You know, I love that because the whole do your own research, hashtag DYOR, is actually, Mufti Sahib, you're actually saying that's an Islamic principle. That's an Islamic principle. You know, like the world's biggest, you know, like a neutral Muslim, non-Muslims, everyone says do your own research. But essentially what you've said, do your own research, is a halal principle. You know what I mean? So like this advice that we give, that's investing advice, is actually a Muslim principle.
Yeah, because you cannot, somebody cannot just put money and think, okay, you know, I'm just going to do it. I don't know what I'm doing. I'm just going to do it because the world is doing it. I'm just going to do it. That's wrong. Understand? That's definition. Even if it's halal, but you don't know what you're doing, so you're putting yourself at risk. Is that what Sharia wants? Sharia wants to protect your money. But when we're talking about Islamic finance, this and that, we always say, you know, Islam, it wants you to protect your wealth, etc., etc. It means to be responsible as well. You need to be responsible investors. So I'm not saying you cannot take risk. Okay, there's different level of risk investment. As long as you know what you're doing, though, you cannot just unknowingly walk into a world, close eyes and say, I'm just going to go like that. That's gambling. That's what, you understand? That is a form of gambling. Okay, it might not be the zero-sum gambling, haram gambling that we're talking about, but you're gambling with your money at the end of the day. And that is unacceptable from a Sharia perspective because you're putting your wealth at risk in a very, very irresponsible manner. You need to know what you're doing.
We can tangent off to many more topics for the next few episodes about this. You mentioned staking, you mentioned liquidity providing, you mentioned the concept of not knowing what you're doing, miyasar, garar, you know, the concept of too much speculation, gambling and all this stuff. So we can jump into these topics, inshallah, in the upcoming next few weeks. If that's okay with you.
Inshallah ta'ala, I look forward to it.
Amazing. Moby, any last points, comments before I jump on to updates?
No, not at all. Just guys, thank you so much for those questions. Obviously, we can't answer everything, but we appreciate, you know, you guys asking those questions, and it really just makes the show better. So thank you so much. And yeah, I think what the Mufti Sahib said too, like, do your research, man. Like, do your research, ask those smart questions, and I think we're all going to be able to help each other.
Exactly, inshallah. Okay, fantastic. So, I mean, there's no way I can talk. Like, there's nothing I can say that's gonna be more important than that. But yeah. So what's going on with Marhaba, guys? Okay, Marhaba, huge news. We just hit 50,000 people on Telegram. This is 50,000 strong. I mean, if ADAFinance with only what was it 7,000,
5, not even.
5,000 on Telegram gets an award for
That they
DeFi
sponsored.
of the year. We have just crossed a huge number. It's just I'm just looking back when I remember when the project was at 600. We're at 50,000 now. Thank you guys. If you haven't joined the community, what are you waiting for? Join the community, follow us, and all that stuff there. We also have different language-based communities. So if you do not understand English that well, Persian, Urdu, Hindi, Arabic, Turkish, Russian, and soon we're going to be launching our Indonesian, Malaysian channel, which is phenomenal. So join our channels for all that matters. Another big news, we have crossed 16,000 on Twitter. This is also huge. And once again, I'm going to quote ADAFinance. if it was it 5,000 people on Twitter, or what was it?
Something like 7,000, nothing, almost nothing. Yeah.
So if they give an award, guys, we're at 16,000 now. I just checked again, which is huge. We're growing really quickly. Join the family, join the community. There's a lot that's going on. We are working towards getting our Discord going also soon, inshallah. Our Facebook is up. Guys, try to join our Facebook. We're doing a lot of communication there also. And that way you can share it with your friends on Facebook. There's a huge community on Facebook that is still not aware of Marhaba. Join, share, subscribe, all that, or follow, all that stuff there. All right, cool. One other huge news that is coming out of Marhaba this week or yesterday was that we have just made a partnership with Polygon, which is huge, to develop one of our products, which is the DeFi, which is philanthropy aspect of Marhaba, the zakat and charity based. So huge news when it comes in regards to that. If you want more details on that, we have already uploaded and published stuff on our Twitter. If you're more interested in it and you want to ask questions directly to the team about it, go on our Telegram, just throw in a question there. Some updates on the Polygon partnership, what's going on with that, how can we get to know more about that. We already have a Medium article and all that stuff happening in regards to that, so you can learn more about it. And I mean, honestly, this is how you know a project is going towards the right way. They're partnering with huge other projects and huge multi-chain solutions like that. So big news. I think the next update, which everybody would be interested about, would be our pre-publication round 2. So round 1 completed. Before round 1, the VC rounds have completed. Pre-public round 2 has been doing very well, actually. In about 4 days, we've already done, I think, Nikki was telling me, about 57 or 58% complete this morning. So we're looking at maybe right now it's 60% complete and only 40% left. If you haven't had the chance to get involved, get involved. If you're already involved and you want to get your friends involved, there's a referral also going on at the same time, which is a 5% referral. You can learn more about the referral on our Twitter or on Telegram or on our Medium. You can read about how the referral works, what's the process, what's the steps, how to get involved. Do join. There's a lot of cool stuff happening in regards to that. We are also partnering up with a lot of various influencers. Mashallah, a lot of influencers have reached out to Marhaba that they want to get involved, which is huge. So usually it's the other way around. So it's cool to see influencers are reaching out to us, and we're really excited and very thankful that we have such a beautiful and committed and passionate community who's willing and always wanting to get involved with this project. I mean, if I can share this, recently somebody had contacted us and they're investing in the project for sure, but they're saying, I'll work for free, like I'll volunteer. Is there a way I can get involved? And I mean, Moby, thank you to you too. Like, you're also like a volunteer and you're also an investor. So like this is what our community is about. We're from the people, for the people, and we really live that. I mean, that's the reason why we did the pre-public sale round 2 and not just go to VCs. We have a lot of VCs interested, but we were like, no, we need to go to the community because we want to give the community an opportunity to invest in a project that they genuinely believe in and they're passionate about. There's a lot of micro other updates from Marhaba. There's always going to be more updates from Marhaba. For that, join our Telegram, join our communities, join our Twitter, join our other stuff. All that stuff is already linked in the description below. Follow, subscribe, all that fun stuff. Engage with us. Share this with your family and friends because inshallah, this project is for you guys. That kind of wraps up my updates for Marhaba. Any last pointers from Mufti Sahib, yourself, from Moby before I close off the show?
No, I'm
all right,
fine.
Cool. Fantastic. All right. So, guys, thank you guys as
The
always.
night shift kicking in now.
What's that?
I'm already daydreaming because it's already 11:30 at night here.
We got London, Sydney, Canada. Yeah, we're all over the world.
Yeah, it's like literally West Coast, and then right in the middle, and then East Coast. It's like we're all over the world. But soon, inshallah, that's gonna change. There's some exciting stuff coming out with me and what's going on. But that's something different.
Marriage.
No.
Oh, no.
Marriage is a
Don't open
topic
that
we're gonna make a separate
now.
video on. We got Mufti Sahib. We should make a video on marriage and how to approach that. But that's a different topic, guys. Let's keep that out of Marhaba. Back to you guys. Thank you so much for coming, watching, liking, following, subscribing. I mean, we're growing fast on YouTube also, which is amazing. Jazakallah khair. As always, like, share, hit that bell notification icon, subscribe to us, comment, and yeah, keep showing us that love. As always, thank you so much. Take care. Assalamu alaikum.
Waalaikum salam.
Assalamu alaikum.